7 strange waterfalls caught on camera. No one can explain what happened. Have you ever seen a waterfall, but instead of crystal clear water, what flows before your eyes is as red as blood? Or perhaps a tiny waterfall suddenly transforms into a blazing river of lava within just a few minutes as the sun sets. There's even a place where, when viewed from above, you might think the entire ocean is pouring into a gigantic abyss. And if you think that's strange enough, try imagining a waterfall located hundreds of meters beneath the surface of a mountain, where sunlight can barely reach. Honestly, it's hard to believe that waterfalls like these could actually exist in the real world, isn't it? But as you know, nature always has a way of surprising us, without warning and without needing elaborate man-made structures to leave us completely stunned. All it takes is water, rock, light, temperature, and millions of years of geological change. And that's enough to create scenes that look like they belong in a movie. To prove just how incredible nature can be, in today's video, I'm bringing you 7 of the strangest and most unique waterfalls in the world. From the frozen landscapes of Antarctica to deep underground caves in the United States. Some are stained red by iron-rich minerals, some transform into fire waterfalls under the glow of the setting sun, and some, surprisingly, don't actually have a stream of falling water at all. So which one is the strangest waterfall of them all? Let's begin this journey together. And who knows? By the time you reach the end of the video, you might realize that nature is even better at tricking our eyes than any magician could ever be. Now let's get started with the very first waterfall. Blood Falls, Antarctica, a red stream flowing from ice that has been frozen for millions of years. Try to imagine yourself standing in a land so cold that there is almost no life. All around you, white ice stretches as far as the horizon. No trees, no sounds of tropical forests, just the cold, desolate white landscape of Antarctica. And yet, in the middle of this frozen wilderness, a dark red stream of water emerges from the ice. At first glance, the scene truly looks as if blood were spilling across the surface of the glacier. This is Blood Falls, located at Taylor Glacier in the McMurdo Dry Valleys of Antarctica. The phenomenon was documented by Australian geologist Griffith Taylor during the Terra Nova expedition in the early 20th century. That is also why the glacier where the strange flow appears was named Taylor Glacier. For a long time, the unusual red color of the water led to many different theories. One of the early explanations suggested that the color might have been caused by microorganisms or algae. However, later research showed that the main cause was not some mysterious red algae at all. The real secret lies in iron. Experts explain that beneath Taylor Glacier lies an ancient isolated reservoir of salty water trapped beneath the ice. The water has an extremely high salt content and contains large amounts of dissolved iron. When this iron-rich salt water escapes from beneath the glacier and comes into contact with the air, the iron oxidizes, forming reddish-brown compounds. Put simply, it is somewhat similar to the way metal develops rust. The only difference is that this time, the rust is staining an entire stream of water in the middle of Antarctica. But that's not even the most astonishing part. What makes this system truly remarkable is its history. Scientists believe that the salty water beneath the glacier has been isolated for an incredibly long period of time, possibly for millions of years. The environment beneath the ice is completely different from the world we live in on the surface. There is no sunlight, temperatures are extremely low. The salinity is incredibly high, and yet microorganisms are still able to survive there. Modern research has shown that the microbial communities in this environment can obtain energy through chemical reactions rather than relying directly on sunlight. And that is what makes Blood Falls so extraordinary. It is not the blood of some gigantic creature, nor is it a supernatural mystery. Behind that frightening red color is an incredibly unusual geological, chemical, and biological system that has remained preserved beneath the ice for an extraordinarily long time. You see, sometimes nature doesn't need legends or monsters. All it takes is a little iron, a flow of salty water, and millions of years buried beneath the ice. And that is enough to create one of the strangest waterfalls on Earth. A stream of red water flowing through a frozen world. Just hearing about it is enough to send a chill down your spine, isn't it? But if you think the color red is the strangest thing you'll see, just wait until we reach the next location. Because in the United States, there is a waterfall that can transform into a massive stream of fire in just a matter of minutes. Yes, you heard that right. The place I'm talking about is Horsetail Fall, when sunset turns a waterfall into lava. If Blood Falls makes you feel like you're standing before a mysterious frozen phenomenon, then Horsetail Fall in Yosemite National Park, California, offers a completely different kind of spectacle. From a distance, the thin stream of water cascading down the face of El Capitan can make you think that a stream of glowing orange-red lava is flowing down the mountain. But look closely. It's not lava. It's still just water. And what transforms this ordinary waterfall into a spectacular firefall is sunlight. Hard to believe, right? But it gets even more surprising when you learn that Horsetail Fall isn't actually one of the largest waterfalls in Yosemite. The flow depends mainly on the amount of snowmelt from the area above El Capitan. So during dry periods, or when there isn't enough snow, the waterfall can become very small and sometimes barely noticeable. However, around the middle of February, if the conditions are right, something extraordinary can happen here. As the sun prepares to set in the west, its golden orange light shines almost directly onto the falling water as it pours down the cliff. The droplets reflect and scatter the sunlight, creating a brilliant orange-red glow. And just like that, Horsetail Fall transforms into what people commonly call firefall. What's important to understand is that this phenomenon does not occur throughout the entire winter. In fact, even during the right time of year, you can't be certain that you'll see it on any given day. For the spectacle to appear, several conditions have to line up at the same time. First, the waterfall needs to have enough water flowing. This depends on sufficient snowfall and temperatures warm enough to melt the snow. Next, the sky to the west needs to be relatively clear around sunset. Even thick clouds, rain, or snow blocking the sunlight can cause the orange-red effect to disappear. The angle of the sunlight is also extremely important. That's why some people have to plan their trip well in advance, find the right viewing location, and wait for the exact moment before they can witness the phenomenon. And if you want to see it with your own eyes, remember to prepare carefully before you make the trip. Now, we're leaving the mountains of California behind and heading to an island in the Indian Ocean, where a waterfall creates the illusion that the entire ocean is pouring into the bottom of the sea. And that place is the underwater waterfall of Mauritius, an illusion that makes the entire ocean look like it's pouring into an abyss. Try looking at Mauritius from above. This is an island nation in the Indian Ocean located about 1,240 miles off the southeastern coast of Africa. Mauritius is famous for its stunning beaches, crystal clear waters, and tropical landscapes that make tourists want to stay for more than just a few days. But on the southwestern side of the island, there is a sight so unusual that, if you only saw it in a photograph, you might think you were looking at something completely impossible. This is what is often called the underwater waterfall of Mauritius. From above, especially when viewed from an airplane or through satellite imagery, the waters near the Le Morne-Brabant Peninsula create an image that looks almost exactly like a gigantic stream of water plunging into the depths of the ocean. At first glance, it's incredibly easy to be fooled. But this is not a waterfall beneath the sea. There is no enormous stream of water actually falling into some underwater abyss. What we are seeing is a visual illusion created by the shape of the seafloor, ocean currents, and sand sediments. The waters surrounding Mauritius include relatively shallow areas, while the seafloor farther offshore quickly drops into much deeper regions. In the southwestern part of the island, the depth of the offshore waters can change dramatically. This transition in underwater terrain allows sand and sediment to be carried by ocean currents from the shallow areas toward deeper waters. When viewed from above, areas of blue and green water along with white sand and sea foam form distinctive patterns. As a result, the human eye automatically interprets them as a massive stream of water cascading downward. Put simply, there is no edge of a waterfall in the ocean at all. The way the sand and water move has simply created a picture that is almost too perfect for the eye to resist. And that is exactly what makes this place so fascinating. If you stand on the beach, you won't easily see the waterfall shown in those famous photographs. The effect is most clearly visible from above. One of the most famous places to take in the panoramic view is Le Morne-Brabant, a mountain rising about 556 meters, or roughly 1,824 feet above sea level. From there, when weather conditions are favorable, you can look down over the vast waters below and see bands of color stretching along the contours of the seafloor. But it's important to make one thing clear. This is a natural phenomenon explained by geology and hydrodynamics, not a real waterfall flowing into the depths of the ocean. But as you can see, that reality actually makes it even more fascinating. Because sometimes nature doesn't need to create anything truly extraordinary. It only needs to arrange very ordinary things, sand, water, light, and terrain in exactly the right way, and suddenly we have a scene that makes the entire world stop and look twice. Pretty fascinating, isn't it? My friends, from the blood waterfall to the fire fall, and now to the underwater waterfall, our journey is becoming harder and harder to believe. But that's not all. The next location has an entirely different kind of beauty, and it's every bit as strange. Not bright red, not resembling lava. Instead, it is pure white, like a city carved from limestone among the mountains of Turkey. So let's head to Pamukkale, the cotton castle where hot springs built entire white terraces. If you saw Pamukkale from a distance for the first time, you could easily mistake it for a mountainside covered in snow. But once you get closer, the scene is completely different. Pamukkale is located in the Menderes River Valley in Denizli Province, Turkey. The name Pamukkale is Turkish for something close to Cotton Castle, and just one look at the layers of white rock here is enough to understand exactly why this place has such a special name. It is a world-famous tourist destination known for its hot springs, which are rich in carbonate minerals. Over time, these minerals have accumulated and formed incredibly impressive and eye-catching terraces of limestone. This is also one of the main reasons tourism has flourished here, especially because bathing in Pamukkale's hot springs has traditionally been believed to have healing benefits. Pamukkale lies along a fault zone between tectonic plates, and deep beneath the ground in this region, volcanic activity has created a series of caves filled with carbon dioxide, along with hot springs. From a distance, Pamukkale looks like a magnificent snow-covered mountain. Its terraces extend for about 1.7 miles along the mountainside. They are a type of sedimentary formation created by water from hot springs, rich in calcium carbonate, continuously flowing over rocky ledges for thousands of years. Over time, this process has created a series of brilliant white limestone formations layered like seashells. The scenery here will almost certainly make you feel as though you are peacefully immersed in a blanket of pure white clouds in paradise. Water collecting between the layers of limestone forms small, crystal-clear blue pools, with water depths of only about 20 inches. It is an ideal place to soak in warm, mineral-rich water, with around 17 thermal springs ranging in temperature from 95 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Pamukkale's hot spring water is rich in minerals including high levels of calcium, magnesium sulfate, and bicarbonate. The water temperature ranges from 97 degrees Fahrenheit to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, with a pH of 6 and a total mineral content of approximately 2,430 milligrams per liter. It truly seems like the perfect place for a relaxing getaway. There are also claims that these hot springs can help restore the health of people suffering from high blood pressure, kidney stones, stroke, rheumatism, nervous exhaustion, general physical weakness, as well as certain eye and skin conditions. However, there is an important distinction we need to make. These are largely traditional claims and do not have sufficient scientific evidence to support the idea that the springs can treat all of these specific illnesses. Claims that Pamukkale's mineral-rich water can cure a wide range of medical conditions should therefore be viewed with caution. Hot mineral-rich water may certainly provide a relaxing experience, but soaking in these pools should not be considered a substitute for medical treatment, and that's an important point to keep in mind, everyone. Ruby Falls, the giant waterfall hidden deep inside a mountain. If someone told you that Tennessee is home to a waterfall located deep underground, how would you react? Your first reaction might be, wait, a waterfall can actually be underground? Well, congratulations, because the answer is yes. And the place we're talking about is Ruby Falls, a famous cave system located inside Lookout Mountain near Chattanooga, Tennessee. What makes Ruby Falls so unique isn't just the waterfall itself, it's the journey required to reach it. Ruby Falls lies more than 1,120 feet beneath the surface of Lookout Mountain. The waterfall itself is approximately 145 feet tall. And what's fascinating is that people discovered this place because of an unexpected event during a cave exploration. In 1928, Leo Lambert and his team were exploring inside Lookout Mountain. When a small passage was discovered and widened, they continued deeper into the mountain. Eventually, they uncovered a cave system filled with extraordinary stalactites, stalagmites, and other natural rock formations. And in that darkness, they discovered a stream of water plunging from a considerable height. Lambert named the waterfall after his wife Ruby. From that moment on, Ruby Falls became a popular tourist attraction. What fascinates visitors is the feeling of stepping into an entirely different world. There is no sunlight, no open sky. All around you are rock walls, stalactites that formed over extremely long periods of time, and the echoing sound of water deep inside the mountain. Today, visitors can take an elevator deep into the cave system and continue along an organized tour route. The fact that an elevator can take you hundreds of feet below the surface is enough to make the journey memorable. But when you get close to Ruby Falls, the experience becomes even more extraordinary. From the darkness, you hear the sound of water before you can even see it. Then, little by little, light illuminates the waterfall, and you realize that directly beneath a mountain where people are still living and traffic is still moving normally above, an entirely different world exists below. That is also why Ruby Falls attracts thousands of visitors every year. Its location is relatively convenient for many cities across the southern United States, particularly around Chattanooga and the surrounding areas. Of course, calling Ruby Falls a secret waterfall in the absolute sense would no longer be accurate, because it has been a well-known tourist destination for a long time. But from a geological and experiential perspective, it remains truly remarkable, because it's rare to have the opportunity to travel deep inside a mountain by elevator, and then stand before a waterfall dozens of feet high, plunging through a natural cave system like this. Now, from the United States, our next destination takes us all the way to Australia. There, we'll find a waterfall reaching 880 feet in height, surrounded by a vast tropical rainforest. But its height isn't the only thing that makes it remarkable. Its story began with geological changes that took place tens of millions of years ago, and that place is Wallaman Falls, the 880-foot jewel in the Australian tropical rainforest. In northeastern Australia, surrounded by the deep green landscape of Girringun National Park, there is a waterfall that, once you stand before it, makes you immediately understand why Australia's natural landscapes can be so awe-inspiring. This is Wallaman Falls, the highest waterfall in Australia. The waterfall plunges approximately 880 feet into a pool about 66 feet deep below. But Wallaman Falls is impressive for more than just the number 880. What truly makes it special is the landscape surrounding it. The waterfall lies in the tropical rainforest of northern Queensland. From the right viewing points, the entire cascade appears framed by lush vegetation, towering cliffs, and deep gorges. It looks like a gigantic jewel hidden in the middle of an immense wilderness. To explore the area near the base of the waterfall, visitors can follow designated hiking trails. However, the steep terrain and natural conditions mean that getting around requires proper fitness and preparation. And this is definitely not a place where you can simply think, I'll just walk down and be done with it. Because the deeper you go, the more dramatically the terrain changes. The origins of the Wallaman landscape are connected to the region's extremely ancient geological history. Tens of millions of years ago, geological changes helped shape the high and steep terrain found throughout this area. The Herbert River later played an important role in the erosion process. The river once flowed along a different course, gradually cutting through the landscape as it made its way toward the Coral Sea. Over time, continued erosion expanded and extended the network of gorges. Some tributaries remained suspended above the main river channel, creating landforms that were favorable for the formation of waterfalls. This process happened so slowly that humans could never perceive it with the naked eye. But when that process continues for millions of years, even a few centimeters every century can be enough to transform an entire landscape. And that is exactly what makes Wallaman Falls so astonishing. The waterfall we see today is not a structure built over a few years. It is the result of a long-lasting interaction between water, rock, geology, and time. It really makes you realize just how magnificent nature can be, doesn't it? Devil's Kettle, the waterfall where half the water vanishes into the Devil's Kettle. What would you think if you stood in front of a waterfall and watched with your own eyes as half of the water plunges into a pool while the other half disappears into a deep hole? No strange noises, no trace on the surface. It's as if the entire stream had simply been swallowed up. Hard to believe that something like this could actually exist, right? But this really happened at Devil's Kettle, also known as the Devil's Kettle, one of the strangest waterfalls in the state of Minnesota, United States. Located in Judge C.R. Magny State Park, the Brule River is split into two branches by a massive block of rock. One side flows over rocky ledges before continuing downstream toward Lake Superior, but the other branch plunges straight into a deep hole shaped somewhat like a kettle and disappears right before the eyes of anyone watching. For decades, the biggest question remained: where did the water go? Curious visitors tried dropping all kinds of objects into the hole, from ping pong balls and logs to dye, in the hope that they would eventually reappear somewhere downstream. But the objects seemed to disappear completely. This led some people to believe that a massive underground river system existed beneath the ground. However, that theory faced a major problem. Northern Minnesota is primarily made up of hard rocks such as basalt and rhyolite rather than limestone, the type of rock that is generally more favorable for the formation of large underground cave systems. Another theory suggested that an ancient lava tube-like structure might exist beneath the waterfall. However, so far there has been no evidence confirming an underground lava tube system that fits this theory. Then, in 2017, hydrologists from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources took a simpler approach. They measured the amount of water. They compared the river's flow rate above and below the waterfall. The results showed that the amount of water was nearly the same. This suggests that the water plunging into Devil's Kettle most likely does not actually disappear, but instead returns to the river downstream through cracks and structures within the underlying rock. So why don't the ping pong balls and logs come back up? According to researchers, the powerful swirling currents inside the hole may trap objects, causing them to sink, become lodged, or gradually be broken apart by the force of the water. However, some people still question whether measuring the flow rate alone is enough to prove exactly where the water travels. Many details about the geological structure beneath Devil's Kettle are still not fully understood, and perhaps that is exactly what makes this place so fascinating. If you want to witness this phenomenon for yourself, you can hike about 2 miles along the Brule River to reach the waterfall. Standing in front of Devil's Kettle, you'll see half of the water continue its journey toward Lake Superior, while the other half disappears right before your eyes. It doesn't actually disappear from the earth, but the path it takes is still mysterious enough to make you wonder, isn't it? My friends, from the red water beneath the ice of Antarctica to sunlight turning water into fire in Yosemite, the underwater waterfall illusion in Mauritius, the white limestone terraces of Pamukkale, the waterfall hidden deep inside a mountain in Tennessee, the giant waterfall surrounded by the Australian rainforest, and finally, Devil's Kettle, the Devil's Kettle itself. 7 places. 7 ways nature can make water behave in the strangest ways. And perhaps the most fascinating thing we've learned from this journey is this: waterfalls are not simply places where water falls from a great height. They can become a river of blood in the frozen wilderness, a flame beneath the setting sun, an illusion in the middle of the ocean, or a waterfall hidden deep inside a mountain. Nature doesn't need to invent mysterious stories. Sometimes, all it takes is millions of years of silent geological change to create sights so extraordinary that we can only stand before them and ask, how many more strange wonders does this earth hold that we have never seen? So, which waterfall impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Discovery Fact and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future discoveries. And now, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.